I would now like to introduce, he needs no introduction, but we'll still say it, Mr. Janak Mehta. I would like to now call upon him as the President of the Indian Society for Quality to please come on stage and deliver his welcome address. A few words about him before that, though I'm certain he needs no introduction, as I mentioned, given his contributions in the service of quality, not only in India, but across the world, where he's received innumerable recognitions. With over 58 years of experience, yes, it's 58 years of experience in the field of quality, Mr. Janak Mehta, besides being the pro bono founding president of ISQ, is also the chairman and managing director of TQM International, an organization that has, under his leadership, guided over 1,000 companies in the fields of quality, productivity, NPD, and cost improvement. He was the first recipient of the Deming Distinguished Service Award for Dissemination and Promotion Overseas from India in 2012 by the Deming Prize Committee, USA, Japan. He's also won many other awards and laurels. He is the honorary member and past president of the International Academy for Quality, which is IAQ, as many of us know it. He's also the honorary director and past chairperson of ANQ, the Asia Network for Quality. He has been actively involved in setting up various institutions for quality promotion in India and overseas, and continues to do so even today. I could go on speaking about his accomplishments, as there are so many, but we may perhaps be better off hearing from the man himself, requesting Mr. Mehta to please come on stage and deliver his welcome address. Thank you. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uday. Namaste. It's indeed a privilege for me to have the opportunity to welcome Mr. Narendran, who has been kind enough to come all the way from Jamshedpur, from Bombay, Jamshedpur. He's been traveling all over the place. And thanks, Narendran, for coming here. It has been a great motivating factor for many people in the quality community in India. And of course, I would like to welcome the speakers, the sponsors, the award winners, and all the delegates. And as Uday said, we have about 100 people here, and we have nearly 400 people in the virtual session. This is the largest gathering of quality professionals we've ever had in India. So, this being the 25th year of ISQ, which was formed in 1996, we would like to reflect on what has happened over the years in India in the field of quality management. Where are we today, and what is the way forward? And are we at a point of inflection where we need to make some changes? The history of quality we'll briefly talk about. It all started somewhere around early 1980s. Many things happened. Some of those were Maruti as a company came in under the chairmanship of Dr. Krishnamurthy. Then AIEI at that time, today it's known as CII, under their leadership, we started an experiment in Nasik called the Nasik experiment. 11 companies got together to practice quality. AI National Council meeting in Srinagar in 1984, May, where I had the opportunity to present to the business leadership and the government leadership on why we need TQM. And we got excellent response from most of the senior business leadership. And we formed a National Committee on Quality in 1986 under the leadership of Dr. Krishnamurthy. And this was immediately after Professor Ishikawa had made a presentation as to how Japan is moving in this direction. At that time, everybody used to go to Japan to learn about quality. And later on, Dr. Irani, ex-Tata Steel managing director, he led the first TQM study group to Japan in 1989. And that was a transition in a way. in India, and it was a delegation led by all CEOs. He was the leader of the delegation. All other members were CEOs of companies. So it was one of the conditions that to go to Japan for this delegation, you had to be number one or number two in the company. So that's how the senior leadership team got involved. And that was largely due to Dr. V. Krishnamurthy and his stature. When he led, others followed. And then Maruti formation of clusters, pushing their suppliers to adopt quality, providing them support to the Japanese consultants. All this happened. So that was a good beginning. Also, what happened simultaneously, CIS set up the EXIM TQM division. Then they set up the TQM EXIM Business Excellence Award. Indian Merchant Chamber started the Ramakrishna Bajaj Award on the basis of the Baldrige criteria, the US one. And first company in India winning the Deming Prize in 1998. That really set the ball rolling. Till about early 2000, we had a good degree of involvement of the top business community in India. Somehow thereafter, it started gradually declining for whatever reason. Even though we had ANQ Congress in 2004, again in 2010 in India, and ISQ was part of a grouping which formed the ANQ, Asian Network for Quality. So, many companies in India challenged and won the Deming Prize. Actually, in that period, 1998 to 2019, 21 years, 36 companies from India won the Deming Prize. It was more than the number of companies from Japan in the same period. The Japanese, as they call, they were going through the ice age of TQM in 1990s. People had lost interest in TQM. The reason was they were so successful in 70s and 80s in growing complacency set in. We can't do anything wrong. But when the competition came, when the economic bubble burst, they were found wanting. And they had to resurrect it. The Deming Grand Prize winner at the same time. Also in the similar period, CI EXIM Award. I think hundreds of companies applied for it. And many of those won those challenges. Ramakrishna National Quality Award by IMC also had a good number of winners. JIPM, TPM award also became popular. All these things were happening, and obviously Indian industry was going gung-ho. It's also to be recognized, just because a company wins the Deming Prize doesn't mean they're equal to the Deming Prize winner in Japan in terms of the level of quality and competency, etc. Deming Prize is based on the degree of improvement we make over a period of time achieving our business goals, not on the level of quality. A company which is at good level of quality has to make that much greater effort to win a Deming Prize. So just because a company has won Deming Prize in India doesn't make it becomes equivalent to a company in Japan doing the same thing. It's the rate of quality improvement that matters. I think an excellent example in this context is the auto component industry in India. I remember the headline news in 1990s towards the end when auto industry got liberalized and almost all auto companies in the world, the biggest ones were here in India. In their wake came Densos and the Bosches and the Delphis, and so nobody gave a chance to Indian auto component. They were mostly small operators, except TVS Group, which was large, privately held companies. So it was written off. But I think Venu Srinivasan took the lead when his company won a Deming Prize in 1998 after 10 years of effort. I remember he started in 1989 with the help of Professor Kurahara. That gave him, impetus to many other companies. And the result is today, not only Indian auto company has survived, but they have thrived. Today their turnover is nearing about $60 billion, export of $17-18 billion. They have plants around the world in Europe, USA, Japan. So here's what it can be achieved using TQM approaches. And of course, Dr. Krishnamurthy made a tremendous contribution. Dr. Krishnamurthy joins me in wishing this conference a great degree of success. He's not been able to join physically or even remotely. He's 95 years old. But when he started this journey in 80s, he was 50. I was in 40s. So that's the kind of people we need today to take the quality journey forward. We are too old. So we need people in the 40s and the 50s and 60s to take this forward. Having done so much, achieved a good degree of progress, let's see where we are. See, ISQ motto was quality for prosperity. Prosperity in terms of physical, emotional, and intellectual well-being of people in India. That was our motto right in 1996. And today we complete 25 years of ISQ's existence. It has survived. I don't think it has thrived. We took many challenges. We've done many good things. We've established international awards which are recognized. ISQ has become a face of quality in the world, closely associated with International Academy for Quality, Asian Network for Quality, and many others. Well, let's look at GDP per capita. GDP growth is one aspect. The real element is quality of life can be seen in the context of GDP per capita. In 1950s, we were about at the same level. I've taken only 4 countries which were at the similar level in 1950s. And this data I have is from 1970. The yellow color, you see Japan, where it has reached. Currently, is around $40,000 GDP per capita. South Korea and Taiwan, both have reached over 30,000. And look at China. They started liberalizing in 1980, but the impact could be felt maybe 20 years later, and we can see the improvement in per capita income have reached more than $10,000 per capita. India started around the same time in 1980, but our rate of liberalization was not adequate. 1992 it happened. The impact could be seen from 2000s. And we made some improvement, but we're still touching $2,000 per. So that's a real face of impact of quality. We may think we've done a great deal, but in terms of its impact, in terms of effectiveness, we have not been effective enough. So we need to learn from it. So some of the common aspects amongst Japan, Korea, Taiwan are little natural resources and growth of exports. Because in any country, the national capability of buying is limited in terms of the earning power. So exports are essential, and these countries have grown on the basis of export, and so did China. And let's see what is the rate of international trade, percentage of international trade. What you see in the y-axis here is percentage of world trade, total exports estimated over the last 140 years. And the dark green is India, which you can see on the left-hand side, and I've marked it there also. It was reasonable, gradually diminished. Actually, in 1970s, middle of 18th century, India had 18% share of the world trade, which diminished gradually. At the time of independence, became less than 1%. And it's been hovering around between 1 and 2% since then. So we've made good progress. It should reflect here. Unfortunately, in spite of all the effort we have made over the last 25, 30 years, the export growth hasn't happened. Without that, increase in per capita GDP is a dream, which we have yet to realize. So that's what I've already mentioned there. So there's a strong correlation between global trade in exports and per capita GDP and income of individuals. And export is dependent upon our ability to offer quality of at affordable price and on time. That's a basic requirement. And the approach we've adopted in India is TQM, which covers within that umbrella lean and TPM practices as well. So that's been the way taken by the Japanese, the Taiwanese, and the Koreans who competed with us, and China later on. So let's see the progress thus far. General standard of living has improved. This is evident, especially the middle income group, higher income group. There's never been so much of affluence in Indian society as we see today. Number of people riding motorcycles, cars, etc., have grown rapidly. That's great. Essential services have improved for poorer sections of society in terms of power, water, housing, finance, etc., in recent times. That's also commendable. At the same time, income inequality between the rich and the poor in India has also increased. A report which came up last week shows India has become the most unequal country in the world in terms of income. It was number 2, USA was number 1. We have taken over from USA in terms of inequality. What it implies is that the poorer people have made much less progress. Those well-off have made much more progress in terms of the income. That's the reality, that's the fact reported by international observers. Okay? So, obviously we need to do a lot more. So in a way, we failed to realize our vision of creating prosperity for the people of India. That was the purpose we had set to ourselves, and hence the conference theme, rebooting quality for competitive India. How do we make India competitive in terms of quality, cost, and delivery around the world? And to that, we add sustainability today, which is another requirement for doing business internationally. Sorry. So we tried to understand why it has happened. And a couple of things that come to our mind, lessons that we can learn. Of course, in most of the countries, in USA, Japan, Europe, etc., movement of quality started before the last World War. But after the last World War, they set up independent agencies of quality professionals. American Society for Quality set up ISQ in 1946, went up to 130,000 members. It's come down to 70,000. In India, we are struggling to get 200, 300, 400. Okay? JUICE was set up in 1946, immediately after the war. DGQ came up in the early 60s. In India, we set up these institutions in 90s, late 80s and early 90s. So what is that we can learn from two who have made substantial progress? They were at the same level as we are. One is Japan, the other is China. So let's look at Japan. In 46, they set up JUICE, and in 1971, they set up Japan Society for Quality Control, and was established by the leadership of Dr. Shoichiro Toyoda as a vice chair, who then became a chairman in 1976. Okay. Number of members, JUICE does not have individual members. They have 645 corporate members, while GSQC has about 3,000 individual members and 200 strong corporate supporting members to provide the financial wherewithal for that. Well, it was recognized JUICE has done a good job, but it's not enough. So GSQ was formed. Management structure, JUICE was managed by trustees and board appointed by the government of Japan. The Toyota Group and Komatsu Group struggled and managed to convince the government of Japan, please change, because that was the ICE I referred to in the 90s. They pushed the government of Japan to change their structure, and since 2012, industry leaders, for example, since 2012, Mr. Sakane is the chairman of JUICE. He was the former president of Komatsu. And the president and CEO is former executive vice president of Toyota, Mr. Sasaki. He has been the president of JUICE since 2014. This kind of thing never happened in the past. But this is how Japan is taking quality very seriously today. And even if you see GSQC, they involve the business leadership. So every 2 years, there's a business leader as a chairman, and next 2 years, an academician, a professor from the university as the chairman. Created good amalgamation of these two. Role of business leaders in quality promotion. We invited Dr. Shoichiro Toyoda. I wrote him a letter in 1994, requesting him to become a counselor of International Academy for Quality. I was the president at that time. With the help of Professor Kano, we approached him, and he readily agreed. At the age of 90, he doesn't need any recognition. But he joined because he felt if he joined, then many other Japanese business leaders will take quality seriously. He was concerned about that aspect. In 1960s, Toyota was exporting cars to USA, and they were having many problems in the quality of cars being supplied. They were much cheaper, 25% cheaper than American cars, because of the just-in-time Toyota production system. He's the one who told Taichi Ono, it's good to have Toyota production system, but if the quality is not good, it's not good enough. So that's when he started focusing on quality in Toyota, and he set up Japan Society for Quality Control, because he made a statement, Toyota cannot be a world-leading company if the rest of the industry in Japan is not world-class in area of quality. So with that, he's, in a way, constituted Japan Society for Quality Control in 1971. And he became the president of that, or chairman of that organization in 1976. Similarly, another person, leader in that is Mr. Sakane, chairman of Komatsu. Here what you see is he's receiving a Ishikawa Kano medal. Sorry, this is the IAQ Quality and Governance Medal in Hong Kong in 2012 when he made a speech there. He has made 530 delivered speeches around the world on quality, even when he's the president and chairman of that corporation. That's the passion he has. And they got worried, he's the one who got the government of Japan to change, because he was an advisor to the Prime Minister Abe at that point of time. You could convince him to let go of juice ownership from the government to the private industry. And he is incidentally won the highest honor given to a civilian in Japan, like equivalent to Bharat Ratna. But he still continues to promote quality. And now he's formed a Quality Management Executive Forum in 2017, where 150 companies come together, a senior leadership team, once in a year, share experiences, learn from each other, and make Japan grow in terms of quality. In India, that role has been played by Tata Group. It's fortunate today that Mr. Narendran is here as the MD of Tata Steel. And on remote, Dr. Irani is watching this, who was the first generation of MDs who got involved in quality. Mr. Muthuraman, the next one is one. Mr. Narulkar, unfortunately, he's in Canada. He would have been the third generation. And we have the fourth generation, Mr. Narendra. Thank you very much, Mr. Narendran, for making it happen. And Tata Steel has obviously made similar kind of a contribution which Toyota did in Japan. And I think what Komatsu does in Japan is done by TVS Group, particularly Mr. Venu Srinivasan. But we need many more, not only these two. That's our challenge. Now let me share with you something what happened in China. I've been invited a number of times there. I've attended both their national conferences. Here's an example. In 2012 in Hong Kong, Asian Network for Quality, we had a Ishikawa Kano Award, which is presented. Venu Srinivasan received that award. We are familiar with him. He is the chairman of TVS Motor and Sundaram Clayton. There is this lady called Miss Dong Mengzhu, who is the president of Gree Electric Appliances. She is today the chairperson since 2012 of that organization. It's a US $32 billion company. I have seen her speaking in quality functions in Europe, in US. I don't see a single Indian businessman at these international conferences. Why businessmen? I don't even see even business leaders, next level people making presentations at these conferences. This is how they're building China brand. Similarly, Mr. Liang Haishan, Executive Vice President of Haier Group. Everywhere we find higher group, again, another company which is making presentations at the number 2 level of the organization. The president of Shanghai Association for Quality is the chairman of Shanghai Metro, the largest metro network in the world. So that is the level of involvement they've had. Of course, in China, it is supported by the government, spends a lot of money. Shanghai Association of Quality employs 300 people in the quality organization, quality promotion organization, led by business community there. They have about 20,000 square feet space in which they conduct programs. China Association of Quality has 10,000 square feet in Beijing. That's the kind of support it is needed. So let's see what are the key differentiators between the successful companies and what we do in India. One is business leaders' involvement. They provide the vision, they provide the direction where we are headed as an organization, as a country. They also provide the financial support. Then they're managers and engineers. This is another differentiator. Once I asked Dr. Kano, can you get us some quality professional from Toyota? He said there's no such person in Toyota with quality professional. They all work in quality for 5, 7, 8 years and move on to other functions. And they work in variety of sections of the whole value chain. Sakane did the same thing. Mr. Toyota did the same thing. The current MD of Toyota did the same thing. So that's one differentiator we find. In India, a person works in quality, remains there. Again, I see a differentiation in Tata Steel. Nobody remains in their TQM division for more than 3 to 4 years. They move from one to another. Avnish is here. He was where's Avnish? He was the head of TQM division. Now he's running 30,000 crore of investments. He's the head of projects, investing 30,000 crores of Tata Steel. So that's how it moves. But we need to change that. Engineers generate the idea. Actually, most of whether it is TQM, TPS, TPM, they all originated from industry. They were not originated by the professors. Let's remember that. All such ideas, Quality 4.0 originated in industry. All these ideas originate in industry. But the involvement of the academia is important because those ideas which come from the industry, they generate a theory around it. So it can be taught around in universities and spread across the country. Okay? And we have no involvement of academicians in India in the quality movement. And Dr. Kano has the biggest crowds. He has given 40 lakhs of rupees to Indian Society for Quality to promote this. And I've tried very hard to get the industry, the academia involved. None of them has turned up. That's the role they play. And then the role of the quality professionals of bodies like ISQ, ASQ, GSQC. We pick up those ideas from industry and from the academia, and we spread it across the whole country in various companies. So that's how collaboratively we achieve this goal of improving quality, reducing cost, and improving delivery, thereby making exports possible. Of course, there are 2 other major environmental changes that have happened. One is focus on sustainability for survival of the planet Earth. We have no options there. Option is only to forget it and then lose this planet. Then revolution in information communication technology, leading to application of Industry 4.0. So, in this context, we revised the ISQ mission this year, and it has contributed to the thriving of humanity in a healthy planet. And the vision for 2025-26 is be the principal national forum for leaders, professionals, and academics for exchange of knowledge and living quality that benefits humanity. ISQ, I think, was the first organization in the world in this field which established quality as for prosperity as its motto in 1996. We further refined it and sharpened it. So I would like to conclude here with an appeal that we would like to get the leadership from business involved, quality professionals seeking more active role. How do we get the academia involved? And for this purpose, the ISQ has been restructured, their bylaws have been changed, and Dr. Krishnamurti is 95 years old. He's looking for a successor. He's looking for the last 5, 7, 8 years. And let's hope we find one. I'm 80 years old and I need to give way. So we need people. I talked to Mr. Venu Srinivasan whether he would be the successor. Why? He says, why me? I'm 67 years old, 68 years old. Let's look for successors who are in their 50s and 60s. So Venu said, I was in 40s when I got involved. So I remembered, so was I. So that's the age group in which we're looking for people to take the leadership role. With that, I thank you all for your patient listening.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta, for that very passionate address.